So, paying attention to the video game landscape, I feel like Vikings are going to be a thing for a while. So, let's talk about Vikings in space. Today, we're going to be talking about the Space Wolves, a chapter of Space Marines from the planet of Fenris. And basically, they are when Games Workshop decided we want Vikings in our science fiction universe. And they're actually pretty awesome. They are the 6th Legion. They are one of the originals that the Emperor made himself. And so another thing that makes them so special, besides being one of the original, is that they were actually fought along the Emperor of Mankind during the Great Crusade, all the way up until he was reunited with his son, Lehman. And Lehman Russ became the leader of the Space Wolves. And what's fun about Lehman Russ is when he first landed on the planet of Fenris, he was actually raised by wolves. That's right. One of the Primarchs was raised by wolves for at least the first 3 or 4 years until a group of hunters found him, murdered his wolf mom, and then he murdered a bunch of them. But, then again, that's what happens when you mess with the Emperor's son. Now, underneath Lehman, the Space Wolves became quite the formidable legion. They were already formidable, but due to Lehman being very popular amongst the Fenrisian warriors, when the Emperor brought Lehman into the fold, a bunch of the Fenrisian warriors decided they wanted to become Space Marines themselves. Because you see, when the Space Wolves were first formed, they were just a bunch of people that grew up on Earth, on Terra. But when Lehman joined the Imperium Man, they wanted to follow Lehman. So, against all odds, a bunch of them were actually able to become Space Marines even though they were already grown. Now, a bunch did still die, but a lot more lived because Fenrisians are made of sterner stuff. And one of the important things to understand about the Space Wolves is they are loyal to two people, Lehman Russ and the Emperor. They do not care about other Space Marine chapters, and they don't care about the Codex Astartes. They also don't care for helmets. But then again, when you have this, you use it to flex on your enemies. Now, another thing that made the Space Wolves special is since they would usually go on with the Emperor to fight alongside him, they became noticeable for how reliable they are and for also how loyal. Because again, they don't bend the knee to any man except for the Emperor and for the Lehman Russ. Say the Lehman Russ like he's something special. I guess he is special. But that's besides the point. Now, this loyalty makes them super special because it makes it hard for chaos to corrupt them. I mean, it can happen, but it's super rare, especially compared to other Space Marine chapters. Hence why the Emperor always sends them and why they're known as the Emperor's executioners. In fact, they are so loyal to the Emperor during the Horus Heresy, the Emperor actually set them to watch other Space Marine legions and to kill them if they turn traitor. That's how loyal they are. Now, another thing about them that makes them really fun and unique is, they do have the Viking vibe. I mean, they even call the Emperor the All-Father, really leaning into that Viking stuff. But their gene state has a special flaw where veterans that are prone to rage, or I guess newer recruits too, because rage affects everyone no matter how old. If you get angry enough, you will become essentially a werewolf. They're called wolfen, but they're werewolves. They become werewolves. And another special thing about the Space Wolves and the Wolfen is their gene seed not only has that werewolf flaw in it, but also right off the bat, even before becoming a wolfen, you also have sharpened sense of smell and hearing along with the other upgrades you get from becoming a Space Marine. So what makes them so badass is you got an army of werewolf Vikings in power armor that also ride giant wolves. Because why not? Now, I'm going to take a quick second to rant about the tabletop. You see, I just described a little bit about the lore of the Space Wolves. And you may think, wow, they sound really badass. Because they are. Because, 3 of them were able to hold off Magnus the Red, who is another Primarch. Which, on any other day, that would be easy win for the Primarch. But no, they were actually able to hold him off for a bit of time. I mean, they still lost because he's a Primarch, but the fact that they're able to hold him off, and the fact that another chapter master was able to also hold off Magnus Thread for some time and almost won if it wasn't for plot. Because, yeah. But anyway, like, you know, they're super badass, super powerful. On the tabletop, they're really meh. And it's really irritating because as a Space Wolf player, you know, when you read the lore, you're like, man, these guys are badass. But on the tabletop, they're like really mainly due to the fact that both in lore and in the game, they're really melee focused. They want to get in and fight with axe and claw. And, you know, it's the same in the lore and on the tabletop. But I guess in 8th edition, that didn't really happen much because the table size was 6 by 4 feet, which can actually be really hard to get one unit models up close to another unit without being shot off. And unfortunately, due to COVID, even though there's new rules for the Space Wolves and Space Marines and all that, and a smaller table size and new melee rules that actually seem like melee models might actually be able to do stuff in this edition. Unfortunately, because COVID, can't really get any games in, so that's kind of really frustrating, because how am I supposed to see if they've gotten better with this new edition if I can't play the damn game? Like, and it's really frustrating too when, again, you know, the codex for 8th edition, you know, it was really meh. It wasn't bad, it wasn't good, it was just in the middle. It was meh. Like, you could still play and do decent. You might have had to try a little bit harder than some other armies, like the Ultramarines, because they get everything in the lore and on the tabletop. It's fucking bullshit. But yeah, you know, this is just a quick introduction to Space Wolves. I figured, you know, people are going to have Vikings on the mind, so I might as well be a whore and cash in on that too. And of course, I can also talk about Lehman Russ, but I feel like he deserves his own video. So yeah, so he's going to get his own video eventually down the line. I'm pretty sure I'll probably do Space Wolves again because they are the Emperor's Executioners, so there is actually quite a bit of lore for them. But this is just a basic introduction to the Space Wolves. So with that out of the way, stay safe and let the Emperor's light protect.